Before we start building our own UIs or maybe modify this user interface, this is a very boring thing. This is boring stuff, just one text. Maybe we want to show other text and images. And before I do that, I want to talk about a few more things before I jump into the code. I'm taking some time for that because you have to be familiar with the configuration or settings or the buttons in Android Studio. So you see that whenever we change something, for example, if I want to change the text size, it seems so little, right? So if I want to increase the font size of this text, or maybe I want to change the text to something like hello Kotlin or hello world, something like that, then we need to change it inside our code. And then to see the changes, we need to restart the application. We need to rerun the application on the simulator so that the old APK or the old file is deleted and the new file, the application will be installed from scratch and we'll see the output. And to restart an application by stopping and then running once again, it takes time. It actually takes some time. So for even to reflect a change of color, for example, if we just want to change the font size of text, this is a very small change. Even to see the change, we need to restart the application. And since it takes some time, for example 10 to 20 seconds, so it will be very time consuming to see the output or the changes. So whenever we need to see the changes, we need to restart the application, then we need to wait. So it is very time consuming. So to overcome that, to see the changes on a screen, whatever change we made with our code, and then we need to see the changes, Android Studio comes up with a beautiful feature, which is the preview feature. So at the bottom of this main activity dot, let me just remove or close all these files. So at the bottom of this main activity, you see that there is another function, which is also a composable functions, but there is an extra annotation, which is preview. And the function name is greeting preview. And inside that, we have the theme once again. This is the same function that has been used over here. And inside that, we have this greeting method all over again. And we are passing a value. So to see the changes immediately without restarting the application on the emulator or real device, there is an option in Android Studio. You see that at the right top of this window, there are three buttons over here. So this one is selected. This is the code view, where we are actually looking at the Kotlin code. The next button is the split. So if I click this, you see that there is another window over here where we can actually see the preview. And there is another button which is only the design, so we don't see the codes anymore. This is the only design pane. But most of the time we select this button to see the codes and the design as well, parallelly, side by side, so that we can immediately know what is happening with our code. But the great thing is that whenever we change something, it will reflect directly over here. So we don't need to restart our application. We don't even need to open our emulator and run this application on the emulator. We can close this emulator and we can start adding our user interfaces, and we can see in this pane how our user interface will look like. So this is a preview, and this preview is actually coming from this preview function. So preview function is another composable function annotated with preview. So whatever composable function you provide over here, you will see there. So let me just provide, maybe let me just change this name for Android to, for example, Compose. And you see that this is rebuilding. Something is going on over here. And after a few moments, you see it says hello Compose. And we didn't restart the application, right? Our emulator is still showing the older version of this app which says hello Android. So this is a cool thing. We don't need to restart the application. So whatever change we make, we actually able to see the changes immediately with this preview pane over here or design pane over here. And you can provide as many preview functions as you can. For example, let me just copy this whole thing and paste it just under this. Just change the function name, because in the same file there two function name with the same name cannot exist. So let me say preview maybe 2, and then it might be, let's change the name like Android this time. So you see that now we are looking at two previews. So this preview is coming from this function and this preview is coming from this function over here. So inside a single Kotlin file, we can provide as much preview functions as we can to see the changes immediately without restarting our application on emulator, and thus save some time.